Hello, I'm Will, I'm here with Mike, we're the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And welcome back once again to Warhammer 40k Conquest, where we have a look through the magazine from this week and then go on and play the battles from it. And as you can see on the front cover of this issue, we have 4 new models this week. We have Lord Felthius and the Tainted Cohort. Lord Felthius is a Death Guard Lord in Terminator armour, or a Lord of Contagion, as he's officially known. And he's got 3 Blightlord Terminators with him. And these are part of the easy to build range, as you'll see shortly. But if you buy those models separately, then it's £25 in the UK for those 4 models. But with the magazine, you get all of that for £8. Got some information about Lords of Contagion, and actually in this picture there's Lord of Contagion there, which is actually the one you get in the Dark Imperium starter set. This is the cover art from Dark Imperium, I think. We've got a bit more about their weaponry, and then we've got something specifically about Lord Felthius himself. He apparently is the commander of the Tainted Sons Vectorium, which is a group of Death Guard basically. And then we've got some more about Blightlord Terminators, which is just Death Guard standard Terminators. They have another kind of Terminator, which is the Death Shroud, but they're sort of more like a bodyguard unit, essentially. And I don't think we get any of those with the magazine, do we?
No.
They're part of the main Death Guard range. How to build the Terminators, as I said, they're all part of the easy to build range, so no glue required, they just push in, push fit. And then we've got painting them, which, as with all the Death Guard painting tutorials these days, is fairly straightforward. But there's a lot of detail on these models. Anyway, and then we move on to our first mission, Teleport Strike. Title is fairly self-explanatory. We'll see that in a minute.
So here we have our mission for this week, Teleport Strike. So according to the little bit of blurb there, despite last week's setback, the Silver Templars have almost finished purging the Death Guard from the Blade of Novaris, but Lord Felthius and the Tainted Cohort have decided to make an appearance. So you can see from this diagram, similar sort of deployment style to last week, just in opposite corners. And simple setup rules, the Death Guard puts down their unit of 3 Plague Marines, as you see there. Then the Space Marine player gets to set up their Librarian, the Intercessors and the Aggressors. Meanwhile, Lord Felthius and the Tainted Cohort, they are cast separate units, are deployed off the battle mat in the Teleportarium. And let's go first. So I'll explain what the Teleportarium means in a second. Also note down here that the Lord Felthius and the Tainted Cohort have 4+ invulnerable saves, which means that effectively their armour save can never be reduced below a 4+ due to AP of a weapon. So special deployment. Some units have the ability to be deployed off the battlefield, and this counts as your turn if you're taking turns deploying units. Some other units get an ability that lets them move before the battle actually starts, but we haven't got any of them. So the Lord Felthius and the Tainted Cohort can be deployed off the map, and then the teleport in. As you can see, here's an example here. If you have a unit that's deployed off the map, you can deploy them at the end of your movement phase, but they have to be at least 9 inches away from any enemy units. But then they can act normally for the rest of the turn. And of course here we've got the data sheets for the Lord of Contagion, or Lord Felthius as he's called. Specifically he has a Man Reaper, there's another version with the Plague Reaper. And the Blightlord Terminators that make up the Tainted Cohort. So that's it for the new rules. We'll get into the game now.
So I've put down the Plague Marines here. I've put them down as far forward as possible because I get the first turn, so I can do what I want with them. Off the board, we have deployed Lord Felthius and the Tainted Cohort, 3 Terminators. They are in the Teleportarium, or there.
So there you see, I've finished my deployment. I'm trying to hide everyone behind this box so they can't be shot by the Plague Marines over there. Since William gets to go first. And there you see our objectives. The Death Guard must have at least 1 unit still on the table at the end of Battle Round 5, while the Space Marines have to eliminate all of the Death Guard forces before the end of Battle Round 5. And the Death Guard get to go first, so Death Guard, turn 1.
So my movement phase is going to be nice and simple. Everyone's going to shuffle over a little bit, making sure we stay within 80 inches. Unit is within 2 inches of these ammo boxes, so I get to reroll 1s to hit. So we'll go on to the shooting phase. I'm not going to deploy any of my reserves. We are going to shoot the Intercessors. Everybody, we'll start with the Champion's Plasma Gun.
Okay.
And we're going to supercharge it, so hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s. That's 2 hits. Wounding on 2s. That's 2 wounds, but you do have cover from, well, you have cover from the barrel and the boxes.
And the boxes.
Yeah.
So that's 5+ armor saves, but 6s cause mortal wounds. And there's a 5+, so
5 saves 1.
So 1 intercessor goes down.
We will do the Blight Launcher next. It has 2 shots, hitting on 3s. That's 1 hit, wounding on 3. That's wound. 4+ save because of cover.
4+.
Yep.
To save.
And finally the bolt gun. 2 shots, 1 hit, wounding on 4. No, and that's it. Obviously not declaring a charge, so that's it for Death Guard turn 1.
Yep, on to Space Marines turn 1. So my movement phase, the intercessors have just moved around this box, and they're definitely within 2 inches of one of these pile of crates, and definitely all within 15 inches of the Plague Marines rapid fire. The Librarian has just moved up to be in amongst them, and the aggressors, are going to advance. Yeah, they always roll a 6. They're super speedy, so that's 11 inches of movement. So there you can see the aggressors just moved up a little bit. And remember that William can't deploy his teleporting units. They have to be at least 9 inches away from any mine, so I don't want them deploying that corner back there. So movement done, on to the psychic phase. The Librarian is going to try and smite your Plague Marines. He just got it with a 5. D3 damage, only 1.
Haven't ignored it though, so 1 guy go down. It'll be the bolt gun, obviously.
Yep. And then he'll do Might of Heroes himself, or try to. He got it with a 7. So now we're on to the shooting phase. The Librarian is out of range for his bolt pistol, so just do the intercessors. They'll all fire their bolt rifles at the Plague Marines. So we've got 8 shots hitting on 3s. Re-rolling 1s, because we're near an ammo box. So that's 7 hits. I just need to roll all those 5s and 6s again. Wounding on 5s. Another 1. So shooting over. I'm not going to declare any charges. On to Death Guard turn 2.
So I've just moved the Plague Marines slightly to get them within 2 inches of that ammo crate, because the death of the other guy meant that they weren't. And then at the end of my movement phase, I'm going to drop in my teleporting units, and they're going to land here, like this. There's 3 Terminators of the Tainted Cohort. They have to be more than 9 inches away from enemy models, but that's just about 9 inches, just slightly more than 9 inches from that aggressor. Lord Felthius himself is going to go, he's actually going to go over here. Onto the shooting phase. We're going to shoot with the Plague Marines first at your intercessors, because it's the only unit that I can see. We'll start with the Champion's Plasma Gun. I'm going to overcharge it again. So hitting 3s, re-rolling 1s. That's a 1. Re-rolling.
Oh no.
Oh dear.
So he'll blow up.
So he's blown up, but he has got a hit. It wounds on 2. It does. And you're not within 1 inch of the cover.
So 6+ armor save. No. So I'll lose an intercessor. Take Chappie off the back. Your champion blows up.
That's unfortunate.
A return to form.
Yeah. Then the Blight Launcher will do the same thing.
Yep.
Hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s. 2 hits, wounding on 5s. Re-rolling
3s.
Sorry, 3s. Re-rolling 1s. No, 1 wound.
5+ armor save. He's fine.
Then we've got the Tainted Cohort. Now this thing on the front is called a Plague Spewer.
It has a 9-inch range, so it's out of range.
Yeah, so that's a 9-inch range, that's nowhere near in range. But these 2 guys on the back have combi bolters, and a combi bolter in the rules is exactly the same as a storm bolter. So they have 2 shots at long range or 4 shots within close range. And close range for rapid fire range for Death Guard is 18 inches, thanks to their special rule.
So they're definitely within 18 inches.
So that means the 2 of them together have 8 shots, hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s. No 1s, 2 misses, so 6 hits.
Maybe on 4s.
4s, because they're just bolt guns, really. So 4 wounds.
4 3+ armor saves.
Yeah, they're fine.
Made all of them.
We're not going to declare any charges with these guys, so that'll be it for my turn.
On to Space Marines turn 2. So that's my movement complete. Everyone's just sort of generally moved up. Aggressor Sergeant is within flamer range of the Plague Marines, although he might get smited by the Librarian in a second. So movement complete. Onto the psychic phase. The Librarian will try to manifest Smite.
Plague Marine, because he's closest.
Yeah, get rid of him. Oh, with 10. So do only D3 damage. That's 1.
Oh, I've ignored it.
No, he's fine. That might actually work out in my favour.
It might.
Oh well. And the Librarian will try and do Veil of Time on the aggressors. And he needs a 6. Got it with a 7. so they can re-roll their charge distance. So now we're on to the shooting phase. Aggressor Sergeant will fire his flamers at the Plague Marine because he's the only one in range. So 2d6 hits, 7 hits, wounding on 5s. Ooh, 3 wounds, 3 plus armor saves.
I failed 2.
Ooh.
So disgustingly resilient. I've made 1, but he goes down.
So the Plague Marines go down. So just checking the range, the Librarian is very slightly closer to Lord Felthius, and you can see him. And although you would get cover, you can't get better than a 2 plus armor save, so he'll do it for the sake of it. So 1 pistol shot hitting on a 3, re-rolling 1s because we're near a box. It's a hit. Wounding on a 5 because the Lord Felthius is toughness 5. It didn't wound. So now the Intercessors are all going to fire into the Terminators over there. So we've got 6 shots, hitting on 3s, you're rolling 1s, 5 hits, wounding on 5s. Oh, blind, 3 wounds. So Terminators have a 2 plus armor save base, so that goes down to a 3 plus.
That one's cocked. Oh, it's failed.
So 5 plus resilience.
Like all Death Guard? Nope.
So the Terminators have 2 wounds each, so one of them takes a wound.
And it will be the man. It'll be the man with the Plague Spewer.
Because he doesn't have a melee weapon.
No, so we'll find out shortly, I'm sure.
On to the charge phase. So the aggressors are going to declare a charge on the Tainted Cohort. It's going to need a 7, but you get to Overwatch first.
I do. So we'll start with the Plague Spewer. It works a bit like a flamer. It's an automatic hit weapon, like the Flamestorm Gauntlets.
D6 shots.
D6 automatic hits. 4.
Strength 5, so wounding on 4s.
Wounding on 4s, rerolling 1s.
Yep. 2
wounds. And it has a -1 armor save.
So 2 4 plus armor saves. Made 1, so an aggressor takes a wound. Be the guy at the back.
And then we've got 6 shots from the 2 combi bolters hitting on 6s. Nothing.
And then they need a 7, and they can re-roll because of Veil of Time. They got a 7, so I'll have to take it. So there, the aggressors have made their charge. They'll have to pile in to get in. But the Librarian is also going to declare a charge. He'll declare both as a charge target because I forgot he doesn't actually have a gun, so he can't Overwatch. So there's no harm in declaring him a charge target, even though he's quite deadly in melee. But still, we'll see how it goes. So Librarian's going to need about an 8, I think, to get in. So I'll just see what I get. I'm not going to get in with a 3. So charge phase over. On to the fight phase. So the aggressors charge, they get to go first, and you can see they've piled into the Terminators, and they have 7 attacks between them, hitting on 4s with their
Flamestorm Gauntlets.
Yeah, that's it. Not Power Fists.
Ugh.
1 hit. Wounding on a 3. It wounded. 4 plus.
4 plus invulnerable save,
Yes.
so the -3 would take me to a 6 plus, but they're...
5 plus.
Yes, sorry. But I failed that, so... Oh, it just kills this guy.
No, D3 damage.
Oh yeah, 1 damage. Of course, because I get disgustingly resilient. I haven't ignored it.
So, Plague Spearman goes down.
Consolidate if you want.
Well, you'll still be able to fight me anyway.
Well, yeah, I will.
So I might as well consolidate into you. And then you get to fight back. Yeah, they have 2 attacks each, so you've got one with a Bale Sword and one with a Bubotic Axe.
We'll start with the... Oh, it doesn't matter. We'll start with the Bale Sword.
Okay.
Basically a power sword.
Hitting on 3s.
1 hit, wounding on a 5.
Yes, because Terminators are strength 4.
But rerolling 1s,
Yep.
because Death Guard weapons do that sort of thing. Nope,
No.
no damage from that.
And the Bubotic Axe.
Hitting on 3s. 2 hits, wounding.
Death to the False Emperor.
Death to the False Emperor, well remembered. So 2 6s, so I get 2 extra attacks. They both hit as well.
So 4 hits.
4 hits, wounding on...
4s, because you get +1 strength from the Bubotic Axe.
Indeed.
And
Rerolling
rerolling
1s. That was it.
Yeah,
that
so
was
that's
it.
4 wounds.
So 4 wounds.
It's -2 AP, so 4 5 plus armor saves. Didn't make any of them. Blightlord Terminators also have a rule called Aura of Rust, where if you roll a 6 to wound, then they get an extra -1 AP on their weapons, but that wouldn't have made any difference. I rolled that bad. So we're just left with the Aggressor Sergeant on 1 wound.
And at the end, we're going to just consolidate this guy around a bit like that, just to get a little bit closer to the guys over there. So in the movement phase, these Terminators are going to stay in melee combat and see if they can finish him off. Lord Felthius is going to move 4 inches because these guys in their hulking armour are really, really slow.
Yes, also if they advance, they have to halve the result. So they can move a maximum of 7 inches in a turn.
But I'm not going to advance, just going to move his 4 inches to about there. Shooting phase, nothing to do. He hasn't got a gun. Those guys are in melee. They don't have pistols. So on to the charge phase, and Lord Felthius is going to charge the Librarian, but not the Intercessors.
Just the Librarian.
Indeed.
He'll overwatch with his pistol.
Nope.
Didn't hit.
Charge roll, probably about a 5, but we'll see what I can manage. 10, that definitely is in. So he's going to come like that. He charged, so he can go first. How does his...
So one thing we just remembered, Lord Felthius there has an aura called Nurgle's Gift. So at the start of your turn, all friendly units within 7 inches of this model have the deadly aura of plague and disease. And then you roll a dice for each enemy unit that is within an inch of any of those units. On a 4+ that takes mortal wounds. So the Terminators were within 7 inches at the start of Lord Felthius at the start of the turn, and now they're within an inch of the aggressors. So on a 4+, that aggressor takes a mortal wound.
He does.
So the aggressor dies, which means that they get to move normally.
They do, so we're kind of going back a bit, but I wouldn't have done anything other than what I'm about to do, which is that they'll move there 4 inches up this way, and then they will shoot their guns at the Intercessors, because they didn't fall back, because the aggressor was dead before they'd made their move. Yeah, that's how this works.
Before the movement phase.
So they couldn't shoot the Librarian because they're not close enough.
Yeah.
So it all works out. So we've got 8 shots from these combi bolters, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s because of the box. That's a lot of 2s. I say 2 2s. 1 1 to reroll. 6 hits total. Wounding on 4s. 3 wounds.
3 wounds. 3+ armor saves. Failed 1. So Intercessor takes a wound.
And then in the charge phase, they will declare a charge on the Intercessors.
So the Intercessors will overwatch. 6 shots hitting on 6s. No hits. Not rerolling 1s because it's not shooting phase.
Charge move, they'll probably need about a 4, and an 11 is plenty, so they're going to come in like this, but not getting within an inch of the Librarian because I didn't declare him as a charge target. So now onto the fight phase, and Lord Felthius is going to attack first, hitting the Librarian.
So he has 4 attacks, hitting on 2s.
Yeah, he's a decent melee character. We've got 3 hits.
Now he's strength 4 normally, and he gets +3 from his Man Reaper, so he's strength 7, so he's wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s.
So 2 wounds, rerolling 1s, 3 wounds.
So it's AP -3, 6+ armor saves. Didn't make any of them. D3 damage each.
Only 5? No, only 4. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. So not enough.
Yeah, so only 4, so the Librarian goes down to 1 wound.
Not quite enough to kill him. Then the Blightlord Terminators, the Tainted Cohort that is, they're going to attack the Intercessors. We'll start with the Swordman. So 2 attacks hitting on 3s, 2 hits, wounding on 4s. That's only strength 4 with the sword, 2 wounds.
AP -3, so 6+ armor saves. Didn't make any, so 1 Intercessor at the front goes down, and the guy behind him will take a wound.
Then we've got the Bubotic Axe hitting at the same time. 2 hit. So 2 hits and 1 6. So the Death of the False Emperor gets a 3rd hit. Wounding on 3s. 2 wounds.
AP -2, so 5+ armor saves. No, I'm not going to make any armor saves this game. Another Intercessor goes down, and Sarge is down to a wound.
And then Terminators will consolidate into everybody. Means the Sergeant can hit me, but I want to tie him up.
I get to fight back now. I'll do the Sergeant, just to see if he does anything. Got 3 attacks from him, hitting on 3s. 2 hits, wounding on 5s. 2 wounds, 2+ armor saves.
No, that's fine.
The Librarian is going to attack Lord Felthius. No, he'll attack the Tainted Cohort, actually, because he might kill some of them. He's got 4 attacks, hitting on 3s. 3 hits, wounding on 5s. 2 wounds, 2 4+ armor saves.
What invulnerable saves these are? Made one of them, so 1
D3 damage, 2.
So disgustingly resilient.
There we
6.
go.
No damage from that swing.
So that's the end of Death Guard turn 3. On to Space Marines turn 3. Well, we're all going to stay where they are, but we're going to do the Psychic phase. The Librarian is going to try and manifest Smite on the Tainted Cohort. He got it with a 9. D3 damage, 3.
Saves. So it made 2, but that's 2 wounds, so 1 guy goes down. It'll be the Swordman.
And then the Librarian will try and do Might of Heroes on himself. Doesn't, double 1, so he gets Perils of the Warp and dies. So I got a Perils of the Warp, so the Librarian takes D3 mortal wounds, so he gets killed instantly. And then everything else takes a wound around him, doesn't it?
D3 mortal wounds around him, because he died from perils of the warp, so basically the psychic backlash damages people around him.
So Sarge will die as well, so I instantly lose, but Lord Felthius takes 2 wounds.
Which he ignores 1 of, so he goes down to 4, I think.
5, because he's got 6 wounds.
He's got 6 wounds, alright.
And the Tainted Cohort man takes 3, might take him out.
No, it doesn't. He takes a wound.
So it's all irrelevant. So that's victory for the Death Guard. And we'll recap that for you in a second. So that was the mission for issue 19 of Warhammer 40,000 Conquest. How did you think that went?
I was impressed actually with the fact that I now have
a very powerful melee unit.
Yeah, I finally have someone who can go toe to toe with the librarian and the aggressors, which has been a while coming. I mean, we've said a few times how on this board the Death Guard, certain things can go well, but the Blight Hauler doesn't have enough space and various things like that. Terminators, actually, they do quite well on the board this size.
Normally they're really slow, but on a board this small, it doesn't matter too much.
No, and they've got quite a lot of close range firepower. The bolt guns aren't that powerful, but they get a lot of shots, and the Plague Spewer, well, I think it did 1 wound to an aggressor, but it adds up. And they were fairly impressive. Well, actually, I mean, when I say they, I mean the man with the axe was fairly impressive.
He rolled a lot of 6s for his Death to the False Emperor.
He did, so he got plenty of attacks. The axe is probably the decent melee weapon in the unit. The sword can be good.
It's the +1 strength, I think, that makes the difference.
It really does, yeah. Because hitting on 3 re-rolling 1s is quite good, and it's only -2 AP, but that's usually enough. But yeah, the Blightlord Terminators are very durable. Well, Smite can take them out, but most other things you really need specialist weaponry to get rid of them. The Hellblasters are better against them.
And they still have 4+ invulnerable saves, which will save you 50% of the time.
Exactly.
And you've still got your 5+ resilience as well on top of that.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you hit me with things with high armor penetration value, and half the time I ignore them, and then still get to ignore wounds and stuff. Overall, pleased with them. And then Lord Felthius can chop down basically anybody, and he's extremely durable, so it's really hard to get rid of him. And with the units you had...
Yeah, the Intercessors they're not particularly good against Plague Marines, and they're even worse against Terminators.
Yeah, they just don't have the power of shooting to be able to do any damage, really. And then in melee, they're against guys of this toughness, they're just not that useful.
And the aggressors should be much better, but they rolled really badly, so...
Yeah, it's that hitting on 4s again with power fist weapon type things. Just doesn't do the job sometimes. At the beginning, when I could have brought my Terminator down at the end of my first turn, I think in hindsight perhaps I should have done, because I suddenly realised once you'd moved up after your first turn that I didn't have an awful lot of space to play with, and there wasn't that many places I could put the Terminators and get a charge. What the rule says is that they have to deploy more than 9 inches from an enemy unit, which means by definition it's a 9-inch charge if you make a charge, and the chances of that are about 27% on 2 dice. So it's a common tactic in the full game, bringing down units from reserve like that, and 9 inches away making that charge is always a gamble you take, but the way you placed your units, I had very limited options of where to put them, and so in the end I sat back.
That's mainly due to the size of the board again.
Yeah, the size of the board and the terrain that's packed onto it, so... Oh, and the Plague Champion blew himself up for the first time in a while. Rolled a 1, re-rolled it.
Being able to re-roll.
Yeah, back to form.
I think that's it for this recap for this week of Warhammer 40,000 Conquest. If you like this content, please leave a like, subscribe and leave a comment. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.